We'll begin, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so welcome to the August 12th Mad River Valley Recreation District Board meeting. We have moved into the Waitsfield Town Hall. Thank you, Laura, for finding us a cooler space. No public is here. Everybody's had a chance to take a look at, oh, I'm sorry, Chris is here. I cannot choose, I'm sort of an inside person, but Chris Stevenson is here with us. He's representing Moortown. And well, not officially, but unofficially. At this particular meeting, he is. So our first agenda item is to approve draft minutes because we were in our workshop at the last meeting. We did not do the June 17th, so we have two to approve, June 17th and July 22nd. So let's tackle the June 17th first. Any comments, edits, adjustments? Okay, is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve the June 17th minutes.
Second. All in favor of approving the June 17th minutes, say aye.
Aye.
July 22nd, that was our workshop. And I think the detailed minutes went out. Once we get through our approval, we will need to designate a note taker. I can do it. Corey is on, okay, Peter? So for our July 22nd meeting, a motion to approve the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Yeah.
From July 22nd. I'll second it.
All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
And the minutes from July 22nd have been approved. We're going to try to stay on task, everybody. We're going to continue working on the strategic plan, but we are going to start first with Laura's executive director report. And by the way, Corey,
I saw, I can.
yes,
take a
yeah,
pause.
Right, I decided that I have to make my notes for my director's report anyway. I'll do them online and I'll be able to email them to whoever's taking notes, so it'll help.
Yeah.
Share the workload. Yeah, so I have a lot of small things. You probably saw the ad in the Valley Reporter thanking the Shanks, and that big party Thursday night. And Kurt Lindbergh spearheaded that, and I am suggesting that we donate $50 to $100 for that ad. He just took the risk on himself to go forward with it. So wondering if there's a motion or discussion.
So how much was it and how many people are contributing?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think that ad was probably $400. It was pretty big. It was a half page, color, more, maybe more.
And so is it likely there are other people, other organizations that would contribute?
There should be, but you never know who's generous. I mean, some of them with the conservation commissions who hardly have any money. So you know what, I can just text him right now and see if actually.
Let's just, I mean, let's go right in the middle. Can we do like a 75 and go right in the middle?
Sure.
Do we have a motion to
contribute $75 towards the ad bank checks?
Second.
all in favor? Say aye.
Excellent, thank you. They
Motion
hardly.
for $75 has been approved.
So that check will go to Kurt?
Kurt, yes.
Can you get me a mailing
Lindbergh,
address?
I will do that, thank you. So we have put on our website, and it'll be mentioned in the Valley Reporter this week. Alice and I got a quick article together talking about some updates, and one is that we need a Moortown board member. We have to, put that out to the public, even though we have two people interested. And somebody, so I'll get it on Front Porch Forum soon, and then we'll just see about responses. They need people on the Moortown Rec Committee, so if there's more people that volunteer, maybe you'll find some helpers, or something else. But The other part of the article is just mentioning our November 1st grant deadline and saying that more towns available to submit grants and a couple other dates of things, which will be in this report. But you'll see an article, and I'll get it on Front Porch Forum after the Valley Reporter comes out. Land Water Conservation Fund. I had a site inspection with Joe Hill, who's just the nicest man, works for the state, is also my contact for the VORAC reporting and reimbursements. So I got to meet him in person. Everything was perfect at Mad River Park. I did this on July 1st. He also needed to look at Brooks Field, not our property, owned by the town of Warren. And they have a situation that now Rebecca Campbell and Dana Lasias, Warren town staff are working on, but basically they got $1,500 in like 2002. And part of their agreement is you have to keep all the land open for the public, and they put solar panels on a small. So they'll have to figure out remediation, but he's a great guy and be working with them on that, just to be aware. So the other thing that happened is during that site visit at Mad River Park, I saw a whole bunch of people kind of camped out under the pavilion, like as if they're there for kind of a meeting or something more than just lunch. So it was True North, who was moved to the Mad River Business Park as of June. And, I asked somebody and then I followed up with the right person. And so they have some like retreaty things or workshops where they want to be outdoors. So it got Alice Bear and I talking about, how we feel about that. The person at True North said, he wouldn't be able to like ask and pay for the pavilion in advance because they kind of decide last minute and it was a little odd, but I think they're using it a lot more. So on our website, we say scheduled users take priority over pickup games or pavilion use, but perhaps we should have a sign at the pavilion for that. And perhaps as I got thinking about all of this, I thought maybe we should have an annual like appeal to the businesses around Mad River Park to say, hey, love your employees to have pickup games or use the pavilion here and there, but we do rent that out to other people. But would you want to give us, I don't know, $100 a year from a bunch of businesses? Just an idea. So.
As far as we know, there hasn't been a conflict with someone just
No.
showing up.
No, it was just, what a coincidence, right? I mean, I go to the park every once. Good news is the park was really clean. There was like one container and one wine bottle that I recycled. But earlier in the year that, when the kids are around and stuff like that, heavy usage. So
I think it's a nice exchange with the businesses in the park, the Mad River Park. I mean, there are so many times when we have tournaments and parking is everywhere and they let us use their parking. We just need to figure out the logistics of making sure there isn't a conflict. And so there should not be just an assumption that we can go and do our outdoor workshop there.
right.
And maybe it's, I don't want to get into too great a detail and say, well, you get to use it 3 or 4 times, whatever, but there has to be some sort of system.
Well, I would like to think that if they showed up and someone was already in there, then they wouldn't go there, obviously.
But what if they're there
What
first?
if they're there first and someone comes and says, hey, but I would hope there would be an exchange and saying, look, we reserved this, and they would acquiesce,
maybe-
I would hope.
Maybe it's as simple as we send a little email or letter to all the businesses in the park, say, hey, love that you use it,
Just be aware.
just be aware.
I think it's that.
Maybe it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And then if we are raising money for something specific in the future, that there would be a good group to start with. Is that good? So-
And is it is it complicated on our website? Have a calendar to say that it is? I mean, I know it's some work to do that, right? So that, for example, if True North is on the spur of the moment saying, we're gonna go over, we're gonna bring our, 15 staff members. Can they check a calendar that says, oh, it's already, and they might change their time.
So here's the complication is that the coaches don't really tell us when they're practicing. So that part of it is huge.
Right, okay.
And so,
And do they have a priority for the pavilion?
Yeah.
So that's.
because they Bretton Field,
I mean, would the businesses be using it during a business day, so 9 to 5, I mean, the recreational stuff?
yeah, I mean, I don't know, I mean, I don't know, they probably.
Yeah, what time of day was it?
They started about 2 p.m.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, don't anticipate a whole lot of conflict.
Yeah, I mean, I think our best bet is we take this little email step and also it'll be an opportunity for me to find out who the contact person is at all those businesses and kind of start. Well, I mean, I know half of them just because I've lived here so long, you know, so just start that rapport.
And it sounds like True North may be really sort of only organization that, I mean, that might want to use that,
Yeah.
not consistently, but
Right,
with
And they
some
said-
frequency, and they could just say, you know, can you send me an email if you're planning to use it? That way we can cross-reference.
they said that they rent the pavilion, they rent the pavilion at Couples Field,
Mhm.
but that was when they were in town, and that was closer. And there's a bit more of a system with that, but yeah, I think we have a plan. Any other questions or, okay. Vorak, I owe some final accounting to you. Been so about that. I have,
Staying up at night.
oh, good. Sorry. I sent the bulk of the final report to Joe Kill, the guy I met. In fact, when we drove from Brooks Field to Ned River Park, I said, Joe, follow me. And I stopped at the rec hub and I got him to see everything. And I still have to send him like hundreds of photos and things and hundreds of meeting minutes. I did most of that today. Got a few little things to send him tomorrow. So hopefully it's all good. He already approved our last reimbursement, but they can't cut the check until they get all this. So on target, feeling really good to have that done. And it was good. So and the state made a change. They have now dedicated one person to be like forever my contact, which is great because used to send the email into this, you know,
Yes.
5 different people could you know, respond. And so it was a really good change on the state's part. So we have 3 events coming up that I want to talk about, and you know, some need volunteers. One is Warfest has asked us if we'd like to have a table at Saturday, September 13th, 4 p.m. to dusk and for fireworks. And I think, yes, we should have a table, and I'm available. I didn't think I was gonna be, but I'd like to do something like have a little, I don't know, snack giveaway for kids, or I have a bunch of these were given to us by the path, a little participant thing, you know, we could give any kid who's ever played a Bad River Valley sport thing, give them one of these.
$500.
No, how many kids come to Morfest?
I don't know, 150, 200 people total, so
Well, I have more than 100
you're all set.
Yeah.
We have all kinds of awards.
awards, and then I'm thinking like we give them also like a little snack, these are cheap at Costco, or I buy something else, or you know what I mean, just like stop by and thank you Moortown for becoming part of the rec district.
What else you got in there?
You already popped in.
Yeah.
Yeah, got everything. Yeah. So, what do you think? Anybody, and could anybody volunteer? I mean, I can do it.
Out of town,
Okay.
because I'm retired.
Oh,
I'm not sure.
okay,
I'm out of town.
okay.
I'm also out of, I was gonna say.
Wow. So, in other words, if you do it, like,
Peter.
oh, Peter said you could do it. You gonna do it? Are you got any availability Saturday, September 13th? I just think I agree that it would be with Chris, it'd be really nice.
Yeah, the weather's nice, so pretty, even if it's not, it's turn out. Um, most of the nonprofits they're running an activity or selling something or raise money. I don't think that'd be a great idea for the rec district.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you could, like, I'm working more fast, I'm roped into it now, so it kind of falls under the purview of the rec committee now. As of June, so I don't know if I'll have any time to help, but like, you could host a potato sack race.
Yeah,
There's a couple of people doing crafts already. And you don't have any helmets or,
no,
Lights and stuff,
that I
those are
had to
gone.
return
Yeah.
all the, it's a kind of a big thing. To get them back, so we can think of something else, but I mean, I think it's important for us to be there as a thank you and a presence after all this, so I'll say that. I'm gonna do it, and if I can get help, great, if not, I'll keep whatever activity simple. So.
there's a vendor sign up form, which
Okay.
formally, I think you have to the end of the month.
Okay, I'll make a note to do that. The other event is when I was returning the helmets. I noticed that they have a Stop the Bleed workshop. And it's free, a UVM, sponsored by UVM Medical Center. And so I tentatively reserved a trainer for Saturday, October 18th, 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. this timeframe, and I'll look into having it at White House. The goal is to get 20 volunteers, coaches, community members at large, and Alice has a story from GMDS. I mean, some kid's life was saved.
Yeah, I mean, he was actually the one that his mother initiated it.
This program.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know
Jonathan
that.
Davis, yeah, his mom was the one who, Shelley, actually is a nurse and was the one who initiated it.
Cool, yeah. You know, he was hurt snowboarding and.
No, ski racing. but
Yeah, oh, sorry.
What's the difference?
But somebody, he was on a rail, some rail.
Yeah, right, and his house sliced his eye open and.
But somebody had a belt, knew how to use it as a tourniquet, saved the kid's life. So you're like, let's do it, right? Is that good with you guys? Have that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last one is that I'm trying to, the Rotary Chamber, et cetera, are doing a fair on September 20th. That's like a volunteer fair. Marcy is in charge of it. It's 10 to 12. I will not be around. She'd like us to have a table there. You know, I can find out more about it.
You said the 20th?
20th, September 20th.
There's a two-part, there's a Friday night movie.
Movie.
Which I think is like really moving. If you haven't seen the movie, join me. It's worth watching. It's on
Mm,
Netflix.
So-
It's the concept of like, depression or like doing nothing leads to depression and getting involved in anything.
yeah, cool.
Tattoo club, whatever, but something to get people interacting. So I think that's Friday night, and then the community fair on Saturday.
Yeah, it is. So, that is all I have for you guys, unless on my report, unless there's questions
So
or.
do we have to act on anything on that third one? Or you're just
Um,
telling us it's happening?
Well, they want us to have a table, so,
I'll let you know,
Yeah.
I may be available.
yeah, I'm not available, so, we'll see, and, so I'm gonna email these to you. Lori.
Perfect.
Okay. Laura, thank you for your very, very hard work on the LORAC grant. It's been, I know, it's been a labor of love and tremendous effort on your part.
It's the
None of
love
it
that
would
keeps
be.
on taking.
What?
It's the love that keeps on taking.
I know, but
Keep on giving.
I'm gonna have a little prosecco when I get the email back that says done. So, and we will talk about, we gotta end the QuickBooks account, get all the checkbook to you and things settled with Patty. I mean, they are kind of settled, so thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Okay, so conservation, recreation, visioning, recap, that's Laura too.
Yes, well, oh my gosh, I'm doing my slideshow here. Okay, let me, I think I will start with any questions you guys might have.
Where are we? What are we doing? And what's our
Well-
status?
Yeah, there's been a transition. The first part of the Roark grant was considered, 1.0, that was grant funded. So conservation and recreation visioning was always gonna be an ongoing project. We hope for decades, right? We have the trails people talking to the environmental people, trying to, make sure trails are sustainable. We're not, hurting nature, killing the goose that laid the golden egg here in this beautiful area we live in. So the second point, the second part of it, we're just calling CRV 2.0, which is, now moving forward. So I do have a slideshow here. It's pretty quick, but I have to pull it up. And I think you guys know more than the average board member about CRV, the work we've done. So, anybody have any questions?
What's on the first slide?
What?
What's on the first slide?
Welcome
seen it,
CRV, yeah.
Laura's been going around to different partner organizations presenting this to
Yes, I know.
as in an effort to have that community outreach so that people understand the work. We've had, for all of our CRV forums, it's been kind of the same crowd every time, and so.
Yeah, so like the planning commission in Moretown, I think they received it well. It's kind of hard to figure out how you can keep it fresh on their mind. I mean, that could be an angle at Morfest too, have the maps up there.
Yeah,
Be able to speak to that.
oh, yeah, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. I'm gonna share my screen now. Okay,
A lot of tabs open.
I know. You and my family, they're always saying that to me. It's just how I operate, guys. I have a different code.
How many personas? That many.
Oh, yeah. Now. All right, can you guys? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna make it big, oh gosh.
See the next
Are you
slide.
seeing this
See the
on
next
your
slide.
screen? Yeah, okay. So progress, outcomes, next steps. I believe that CRV was one of the reasons that we got this big Roark grant. In 2022, when we applied, 480,000 was the biggest grant they gave, and they you had to hit 5 pillars with the state for the Roark grant. And one of them was stewardship, and that this is the piece. And it was, Corey Miller's idea a long time ago, because we had the Trails Collaborative meeting quarterly, but really there were no environmental groups, and there was no, sometimes you'd say to a group, oh, we building any trails? Oh, we don't know. And then all of a sudden a trail would pop up.
Oh, you keep talking, I'll just admit.
Yeah, and so what happened is we said, when we get CRV further along, why not have a quarterly meeting where we include all the trails groups, the environmental groups, and they'll be open to the public. But so it began a while ago, and during the grant funded part, which included the chamber moving to 117, the bike and pedestrian bridge over the Millbrook, additional parking and landscaping, the Route 100 crossings on the enhanced Fiddler's Walk path, and then CRV, all those things were under the grant. And these are our funding partners. Thank you. Rec District. We had $60,000 from the Roark grant. Lake Champlain Basin Program, we're gonna have 7,500, that's a reimbursement one, and I'll start on after I finish. All the state Borax stuff, Lintillac, Wyndham, Lawson's gave us a small amount a couple years ago. Basin Conservation Commission donated, and so did the town of Warren, so that was great. And we do have some money moving forward because we're probably gonna need to update some things, but we're in a good spot. And this is our steering committee, and we'll note that Chris Stevenson is a representative for 3 organizations, and it is now on the slide. He
Talking
represents
about split personality.
more town,
I
yeah,
really have a
more
lot.
town recreation committee, Stark Mountain Foundation, and the Bear Initiative. So, there's 15 groups there, moving forward. The chamber will be involved, and so will the planning district. They were not able to be involved for the past 3 years, so that's really good news.
I think one of the coolest things, and one of the hats I wear as Moortown, was to get the whole drainage involved, not just the upper 2 towns in the valley, which is so common. So Duxbury Land Trust is
Right,
gonna assign a new representative, most likely, and
Good.
Moortown will stay involved.
yeah, it was for the whole watershed, because really, animals and nature, it's all connected, affecting everybody, so. There were 3 main deliverables in this the grant funded part of CRV. One was an online mapping tool that we call the Opportunity Areas Map, and it's on our website now. It was done by Arrowwood, cost quite a bit of money, most of that $60,000 from the grant went to that. It's a really nice product. You can go down on parcel level. You see major roads, you see all the public trails, like, so, the trail on my land, your land is not on there, but all the snowmobile trails and riders and the path and anything that's, organized trail is on there. And they came up with a list of 13 key ecological features that are prevalent in the Mad River Valley, that if you protect those, it protects even more than those 13. They have layers. All 13 of those layers are separate on this map. You can put them all on and see if you wanted to put a trail on your land, or a trail that you use frequently. How far away is it from a bear? I mean, you can't tell it's a bear stand, but you can tell that there's a shaded area it would be near. So you can layer on 1 up to all 13 on there and look at a particular parcel. It's a very cool tool, and in CRV moving forward, we're trying to get it out into the public more. And we love individual landowners to use it. We love all the planning commissions. We love the, people building roads, people building houses, everything, because it's a lot of information in one place. One thing that we may have to do in the future is higher level wildlife corridor mapping in some of the towns. Warren has spent a lot of money. They have way better data than other towns, but Waitsfield 2 years ago spent money and got more information. So we may have to fill that in so that all the wildlife corridors are kind of on par throughout the whole watershed. So that may be a use of future funds. The second item was a shared vision, values, and guiding principles statement. As you probably remember, there's no enforcement of CRV. It's an agreement between these groups, and we hope that stands, and everyone is open with each other in the future. All the groups signed this document, and it just talks about, we know that climate change is a factor. We want to protect our land. We know that recreation is an important part of our lives. It just, but it's like it's a very nice agreement, and it's the philosophy and theory of it, because over time, people on this committee are going to change. So at least we have this starting point of what we envision. And then the third deliverable is recreational trail development process guide. It's only 2 pages, but it is, again, a starting point. It references the state a document they have for how you build a better trail that doesn't get washed out, that, helps, in all different aspects. So again, that's just a guide, but we hope people who are gonna build trails will look at that. And moving forward, is this quarterly meeting structure. It'll be kind of like a select board meeting where there's an agenda in advance. The public will have a time to comment, but they're not like leading the show. We have a meeting that they are there at, and a part of the meeting they'll
With
participate.
all those 15 organizations. At the meeting. had all 15,
Yeah.
With their.
We got a pretty good, we have had a pretty good turnout. The first quarterly was in June, so. We had 10.
I think it got moved to July, but yeah, we've had it fairly recently. It was
Oh, yeah,
supposed to
I think
be
July.
June, because the planning district has taken it over. Sam Robinson, Mad River Valley Planning District Planner is gonna be the admin person, so I'm
Good.
thrilled because I'm not the admin of that. We are keeping the fiscal responsibility because some of these grants were given, to us, and it would be pretty hard to switch it around. And they don't wanna take that on, they were clear about that, so I'm fine, it'll be a piece of cake compared to what I've done the past 3 years, so. And we have a number of priorities we're trying to tackle coming up, and what happened is during the grant funded period, good ideas would come up, but we wouldn't have time to work on them. I mean, it was pretty hard to corral 15 people. I was the only woman in the group. And most of these people would rather be out building trails and bike riding than they would at meetings, so we had a lot to do. And the volunteers were great, we got a lot accomplished, but we didn't want to overlook good ideas, so we made a list, and last spring. We went through and different people volunteered for different things. I volunteered for the road show, slide thing, Ira and of Friends and Phil Huffman are also on that group, but I primarily have been presenting. And we have an opportunity to present at Rotary coming up, but the 3 of us are out of town, so we are looking for someone to pinch it for us, someone else from the CRB steering committee. But we've gotten really good reception, as Alice started to say before. I presented at Rotary and a bunch of conservation commissions, and keep chipping away at it, and we'll probably at the end have 15 or plus meetings to boards, and we wanted them to be the insiders, just like you. And then we're gonna do something publicly, not an event, but a newspaper article with some other things to talk about this, so. And next, we're just hoping to keep up the momentum. And we have our, individual people working on things, and I'm gonna give you a couple examples. One is we're developing code of ethics for Mad River Valley recreation users. I'm going to a meeting at 8 AM tomorrow in Middlesex about that, and the path is gonna give us a code of ethics to look at. Their intern did a really nice presentation at our quarterly meeting in July, and it was charming. It had examples from around the world using humor and different things. So I think our challenge will be that we have a lot of different user groups, so we have to come up with something that fits everybody, or we have some sub things, so I don't know where that, I haven't participated in that yet. So I will with Bob Kogan, Ira, and Misha tomorrow. And I'll get back to you on that. I did tell them that we wanted to be involved, that we felt like it was kind of our bailiwick, because we're the recreation district. Another thing, we want to do CRB outreach to private landowners, whether or not that looks like, one of us or a group of us, or like a consulting arm for a private landowner that wants to go deeper. Maybe we put things out to in the towns. We're developing how to get that out so that people use this online mapping tool. We want to continue gathering science-based information to inform and learn about recreational impacts on the health of the valley. And this was always done this whole project with the understanding that science should drive the decisions, so. The last thing is, hey Luke,
Yes.
the last thing, well, not the last thing, but these are 4 examples of things that CRV moving forward will work on. And another one is the ecological effects of dogs on trails, because we were just never able to tackle that within CRV. As we know, 2 towns have leash laws, 2 towns have voice command. People are always on trails and don't have their dogs on leash. They don't see where the dogs go to the bathroom, hard to pick up. There are a lot of concerns. Most of the trails that have been closed to the public in the valley have been because of dogs on trails, so we have to be really careful. Thank our landowners and try and work together, to make it better. So those are some things we're working on now. And the first quarterly meeting that will be open to the public is September 23rd. Luke has agreed to go in my stead because I am away then. And
Did you know that?
yeah,
I forgot.
getting like a nod from you.
That's my September schedule.
Pretty far away.
So
So, and so if you want, at this point, you can reach out to me or to Sam at the planning district, sam@mrvpd.com. His email and his phone number is on here. And if you have any topics that you want me or Luke to put on the agenda for September 23rd, anything that you think should be discussed by this bigger group, I mean, that's how it should be, like, moving forward. I'll give a recap after meetings. There will be formal minutes that will be on planning district meeting and website. And at some point, we'll probably move all of the CRV stuff to the planning district's website. We'd have a link on ours, but you don't want to have it live on 2 different places, updated only in one place. So that's probably the planning district, and you post it. So that's it, unless you have questions for me.
If you guys can, at your leisure, at some point, take a look. It's posted on our website, but look at the mission and the vision and the guiding principles. My hope is that everyone in the valley adopts a mindset that embraces the balance, an awareness of ecological integrity. And obviously, we have a great deal of value in recreation in this valley. It's the main attractor, but that it becomes so hardwired that before anything happens on the land, people are actually thinking about the impact, and that there are some shared standards and processes for, even though it's not mandated, it's understood. So I'm going to draw an analogy. We had worked with kids at GMBS about recycling really hard. And I took the kids to Washington, DC. This was probably like 8 years ago, 10 years ago. And they had gotten some soda and they were walking around and there were just trash bins. And they were like, I don't know what to do. And that's what I hope that is sort of the mindset. And for us as a rec district, we can play an instrumental role as we think about our strategic plan, how to advance that cause. Facein they're working on their looters. What's their meeting just last night, or is it tonight? But they're talking about, the processes for developing trails on public land as well, mostly on private land. Ideally, private landowners are aware. So there's a lot of work to do that it becomes so absorbed and part of who we are in the valley, Moortown extended, that it's, and I always bristle at this feeling of we value recreation because of economic vitality. That is true. While that is true, we value recreation as a pursuit in and of itself because of its health benefits, mental well-being, but I would hope that when people come into this valley, that there is a sense of place that so values the ecological integrity. And so getting all organizations, all individuals involved, and right now we're just beginning to, at this beginning stage of getting those tentacles out there. If I could, taint the water and have everybody um, absorb it, I would, but there's a lot more work to be done, and I think that the rec district can be instrumental in doing some of that work.
You need more municipal water, so take the
Kool-Aid,
water, yeah.
yeah.
And I agree,
Most people in the house, it's a lot of individual work to get.
Baby stands during the summer?
so one of the things I think about is that we have to understand and recognize the economic driver that recreation is, but we can't get it out of place with where we're headed. But I mean, it clearly is a large part of our economy in the Mad River Valley, and it's going to continue to be that. But, there is this balance, so.
You can't shoot the goose that lays the golden egg. So, any other thoughts on that? Where you'd like to see us? So that kind of transitions us to talking about our strategic plan. Our next 3 items is to try to crystallize our focus categories that we started with the brainstorming in the last meeting. I shared with you a graphic. I did actually print some copies to be shared. I know I killed a couple of trees and it's so hypocritical, but it's a little difficult to have up on the screen, a split screen. So I'll pass those around. So we're going to look at that. And then the next question is, as we begin to crystallize the work ahead, how do we involve our partners in that? And what questions do we ask? So our first objective is to work on those focus priorities. So I did 2 things. I tried not to be like, I said to Lauren Barrett in our agenda setting meeting, I said it's a mistake for us to, over direct the outcome in terms of setting these priorities. So there are 6 of these. So share. And they're front and back. This is the one the graphic that was shared already.
I mean, I'll look on with you if you look at that.
I will pull it up for Peter.
By the way, Laura, you might be interested to know that I just saw a 44-seater big bus heading up Lincoln Gap.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Let's see how far they get.
Let's see how far they get.
Oh, my goodness.
Dangerous. Yes. You haven't seen it.
I'm here, right?
Yes. Okay, great. Yeah. That's what we're looking at. Yeah.
Peter, do you want me to share that brainstorming one that I sent out?
That's what I've got on my screen right now.
Oh, this is the synthesis one. The original one. Do you have the original one that was sent?
Somewhere.
Well, let me get it for you. How about that? Let me just do that ASAP. Okay. Have that. So while I'm pulling that up for Peter, take a look at those, looking for, again, the synthesis and any commonalities. I did commit the sin of creating a synthesis when the hypocrite who says we shouldn't over direct, but I did create my synthesis. If anybody else brought one, then have at it, but I did.
Alright.
So, you want to pass that around, or you want to take a stab at this? I was gonna color code these and go, oh, all the yellows are this commonality and all the green ones are this. But, okay, I'll share. I'm really good in the spirit of trying to move things forward and have it edited in whatever way you want. They're just exactly shared.
I think one, like the first one has appealed to me in many ways, except I don't like the funding revenue one. I really like needs assessment and planning. I mean, I think that's a big thing, especially if, as we've said, we might just try and go big and do a, go after a building, or a swimming pool, or, you know, something that's long been needed. At our, Chris, at our workshop meeting last time, we were talked about a lot of different individual things to see where we were on it. And at one point, we were talking about Med River Park, and we said to Molly Bagnano, who's not here tonight, but we said, hey, do the people, 'cause she has kids that are playing soccer, I mean, you guys do too, but we said, do they know that Med River Park is owned by the rec district? She said, no. The only thing we talk about is we need an indoor swimming pool and indoor space for the winter. And I said, you know what, that's what everybody talked about when I had little kids, and that was, you know, 25 years ago. You know, and we're kind of going, you know, if that's still the biggest need, it came up as a big need in the survey. I mean, it's a giant thing to do, and this is a terrible point in time for fundraising, but at least we start to try. And it really, the only way that I'm aware of other rec districts getting an indoor swimming pool is through bonds in each town. So,
And the little detail of some land, but hey.
yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of different ways you could go. Some people are advocating for like just indoor soccer space, like you could put like a dome over a couple of fields at Mad River Park. I mean, there's a way to create indoor space. It's a variety. It's all very expensive, but you know, if we were to go with something like that, then we would have to start with a grassroots campaign that would be like, you know, would you vote for a bond? Would you, if nobody will, then get to it, right? You know, but we've never taken it to that step. So I feel like the needs assessment and planning category is really big for our.
We got it.
Okay.
It's on it.
Okay, this is on hers.
It's on
Okay,
it.
good.
Just like on that note, do we have enough of an inroad at Sugarbush to have an idea of like if Altera has plans for Shark, if that? I mean, I know that like many of us know people that work there, but and I've known some of the people that have managed that facility. It just seems that I know that there's a huge upgrade that's needed, and I think they've been exploring that. I think it would be prudent for us to try to develop an inroad with Sugarbush to know what their intentions are. Because if it continues to be something that's like, you know, $200 plus per month for a family membership, then that's just not going to function for many families in the area. But if they have intentions of trying to do something different there, that it would be worth knowing and potentially partnering on.
So that's kind of as a big question as we think about our focus categories.
It's like a parking lot question.
Well, no, I mean, I think it is a guiding question in terms of whether a strategic plan has multiple focus areas. Whether we really say, this is the one thing that we're planning to do. And we have, so I broke it into the, kind of in the spirit of what our last strategic plans looks like, and then drawing from the categories that we already talked about into 4 categories. And ultimately, we need to say, okay, are we gonna turn around and have action steps for everything here and create a timeline and have priorities, or as a strategic plan, do we really want to put our energy into one salient, driving vision objective? So can we first think about our focus areas and if these make sense or modify in any way, and then tackle this big question about
I just wanted to thank you for this, Alice, because I was getting brain cramp trying to figure out how.
I literally
So I very appreciate this.
take highlighting, colors and go, okay, and I made a column and say, well, it was a Sesame Street exercise. Some things before.
The one thing that I would maybe suggest is, given that the emphasis we've placed on CRV and the partnerships with the Rec Hub and like, it seems to me that may require a more intentional focus than being like the third bullet under resources and
I
assets.
thought about that as well. Does it deserve its own focus?
Or should it also, or be part of the partnerships and relationship?
Yeah.
In there,
Mhm.
as a,
Or is that's a little bit, in our old strategic plan, grants didn't really have its own category. Instead, it was subsumed
Yeah,
into
yeah,
all the
right,
other ones.
right.
So do we want to have that eco integrity CRV as its own category? And then like grants, it's infused in all of them.
I don't really see it as it's certainly not a physical resource or asset, and all the others in that category are.
It's a principle.
Yeah.
So let me I'm gonna do this. I have a Google Doc open and let me just play with that a little bit and do it as a separate.
For this, you want some?
Oh.
I just don't
I
want to
can
spill
fill it. I know, I'm nervous too.
Everybody move their computers. Anyone else want something?
And some of the things that we do,
Chris, did you bring that?
It's Baba's Lemonade.
Oh,
Is
God.
it-
They left the state, so I got the cash.
Oh.
Anybody else?
I would love.
That's $3, Doug.
Is that a single cup?
Yes.
Half a cup?
Everything.
Oops.
Like a quarter cup.
Wow.
I just read-
Which is pour a full and you can share the
We can
cup.
work on it.
I guess you can't see.
You can't, yeah.
Thanks for bringing that.
Hey, Bob, this one goes in the dark.
We was a good call.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Nate in our meetings.
That's too-
Oh,
Apparently.
Oh, wow. Thank you again. Sorry. But don't work on, move it.
That's good.
being recorded.
You want one?
I'm all set, thanks.
I'm all set, Chris, thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Corey?
Sure.
So on the master Google Doc, I just turned eco integrity into its own priority.
Okay.
Into
No, it's
its own, and I-
its own main category.
its own main category, and this is it's being shared as well, so as we talk about what I've given you as a printed copy, if we talk, I will go through and also on our shared screen. So, I guess maybe it's a philosophical question when you think about a strategic plan. Is a strategic plan something that is intended to address things that we're not doing? To draw our attention to areas, so for example, partnership, relationship building, community outreach, public relations, communication, volunteer. Is that just sort of in what we do anyway? Does it need to be part of a strategic plan as a focus area that we need to work on, or is it integral to the work we do anyway?
So I say yes, it has to be in there. I think a strategic plan is a roadmap to get where you want to be. So the work that we currently do has to be on there. That's part of it.
I think our work with, the organization.
Yeah.
SC.
The work with them, we had everything that we did, or we're currently doing, as well as where we want. Everything, so I think if you look at the end of the 5 years, you should have been able to put a check next to everything on that list, and maybe you could have put a check on half of it when you started. But I think the only reason to not have something on there is if you don't want to do it.
The majority of this are things we're already doing.
Yeah.
You look at
Right.
it.
But it's also just like a balance, future visioning and research. So, we did that survey, we haven't done anything in 2 years with the results. And like, I think that you would, if we decided, it's almost a separate decision if we would go after something big like indoor swimming pool or something like that. It doesn't mean, like, this isn't telling you the weight of your activities. It's just telling you these are all important to us, where we're headed, so then separately, the board would decide, are we gonna really try and go for one or two of these things? I mean, maybe it would be something in CRV that we would do more heartily. You know, it could be a number of different things, but it's
So
just
I-
not weighted.
Yeah, and I see a strategic plan, that critical to a plan is a plan, are actionable steps. And so what we have here is a blend of what we value in terms of our work that is ongoing. But a strategic plan also has to highlight certain priorities with actionable steps. So, we could turn around and for each one of these, and again, we're gonna come back, oh, yeah, we're happy with these categories, they seem to make sense, or no, I wanna modify them. But for all the bullets underneath, ostensibly for a strategic plan, we should have action steps for them. And maybe some of them are already, we go, ongoing, and it's, or, complete work that is completed. At least that's mine.
Just seems like there's a continuum of like you could have, I don't know, 3 or 4 categories where it's like, this is something we need to do like visioning work on, if it's like pie in the sky, to like, this is in a beginning stage, this is something that we like need to continue to invest time on, and this is something we need to maintain. Like, it's like,
Maintenance versus.
Yeah,
I think that's.
but I think within that, because we're also doing a strategic plan with friends, so like
Wow.
deep in strategic planning, though, I think that there's inevitably gonna have to be like the compromises of where you want to focus your attention. And so we can't go after a pool and put bathrooms at Mad River Park and get potable water for people that are, like, so I think we have to sort of prioritize what things we're willing to do, and then also think about like what I don't know, are there ways that we can build momentum and or awareness of recreational programming offerings in order to really bring more awareness to like a capital campaign for something? So could we use Mad River Park and a specific set of initiatives there, like potable water and bathrooms, to build enough awareness that like people are like, oh, that's the rec district, that's what they do, and now they want a pool, so you just like think of it as like stepping stones towards a goal, and the pool is maybe like a 10-year goal, but like all of that other stuff is maybe a 3 to 5 year horizon.
Yeah, so maybe the one way to think about this as we look at these categories is we sort of delineate them as M, maintenance, or sustaining our ongoing work, maintenance, and then ones that are initiatives that with short-term, long-term goals to do something new. And I do, it's, I would come back to the age-old question about the rec district, and I didn't mean last time to say, well, what have we done that has been impactful? We've done a lot that has been impactful. But is there something more that we can do that's impactful, that's exciting, that people would, that there is a real need out there, and we can get people behind? Does that make sense to look at this in terms of sort of maintenance versus initiatives, and then our initiatives are in some ways prioritized?
I think there's also like a capacity for the board versus Laura's time and space. So like one of the things that we tried to do with the last strategic plan was to delineate like subcommittees that were in charge of things. And Doug and I were on the initial events group, and then Peter came on to it. Like that there are certain areas that were really strong and had a lot of like movement, and there are other areas that we didn't make as much progress on. So like unraveling why that is. If we're gonna put events on there again, like why didn't we run events? Like what didn't work? What types of things, like how do we reimagine that? So not just saying we think this is a good idea, but like discovering why it's not happening. If it's something we already thought was an idea.
You know what I think should be a bullet point somewhere is safety initiatives. I feel like as a recreation department, that is kind of key. I mean, and I just happen to pick up on some of those with the bike helmets and the lights and now this stop the bleed thing, you know what I mean? But I think that might be important enough to have as a bullet, not a category, but as a bullet point underneath.
I don't really like the title, the category title, recreation resources and assets. Because at some point I had mentioned the idea of wellness. As being,
Right.
you know, and so safety is part of that. And so it falls into recreation resources, assets and what, wellness, that's too cumbersome. But that's where I would put that, is somehow, you know, dealing with safety, wellness.
What if it's recreation assets and awareness?
Awareness.
I liked before the robust recreation. I like that as a title.
I agree with what you're saying about safety. And I hear like the word wellness and I think about like the grant for senior fitness classes, which in some ways is as much of a safety, like fall prevention and strength as it is like for a kid to learn how to swim, you know?
Right, yeah.
So I think that there's maybe that's a subcategory of programming, but I think maybe if we want to bring intentionality to that, we've run first aid, wilderness first aid classes. We've done like a lot of initiatives that have related to that. And you could group initiatives in the valley, even like the active transportation work that the path is doing into it, safety. You know, if we're like creating a place for kids to be able to ride bikes that's not on a main drag or something, you know, like that's to me, I think it's worth emphasizing and prioritizing.
And where could we, so such a history teacher in terms of the relation, Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. Declaration of Independence is a statement of principles. This is a principle that we want to embrace, much like CRB is a principle that we want to embrace. And in where would it be executed within a category? Is it a programming? But I think it loses its emphasis when we just kind of have it as a sub bullet underneath programming. I somewhere that recreation resources assets I feel needs to be in terms of language changed to be a bit more encompassing to allow things like safety and wellness. And then some of it were like, oh, robust recreation, yes, no, is that
I don't like titles that have the slash in them.
no, and again, these are working, they're not precise yet. But is robust recreation too overused? Or is it a good broad
I feel like
category?
it's very vague, like it doesn't really mean anything to me. Robust
Overused.
recreation is, I don't know. This doesn't. Feels like a made up term.
Do you like robust coffee or
I do,
you do?
yeah.
Okay. I was just curious if you had something in
Yeah.
for
But
Well, maybe you get rid of assets and it's just recreation resources. Because isn't safety wellness part of a resource for recreation?
For safety initiative.
I would almost, I mean, not to like throw all of this up in the air, but it seems to me if we think about the majority of the work, like programming is a huge component of that. And the grant program is a huge component of like how we interface with the community and how we're having a positive impact. So for that to be like the fifth bullet under one component feels like it's downplaying the significance of like what role that plays in the community. And and under programming, I think is like safety and wellness. I think it's youth programming. I think it's thinking about how we don't like the word robust, but maybe we delineate, or like we can talk about what our target audiences are. We want to provide recreational opportunities for every member of the Mad River Valley community. Maybe robust is like not a great word, but to be encompassing, so that like whether you're 86 or 5.
Dynamic, I don't know, maybe just a different word.
Yeah.
My 2 cents is that recreation resources and their safe use or their use would be one way of going about it. And by the way, you just put in wellness. I think wellness is a loaded term. It means a lot of things to a lot of different people. I would not use wellness.
So say that again, Peter, recreation resources.
And
Yes.
their use and their safe use.
Although some of the categories under, I assume that we're gonna do safe use with everything anyway, why don't we just say recreation resources then?
Just for me.
Leave it-
I would be fine with that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's broad category, and then we can get into the more granular elements of it. And the same, I didn't, when I did these bullets, I literally did it as I went through, and I called in order from the different ones, so they're not reflective of any kind of priority. There's some overlap in them, but there are clearly some under programming, if there are things that we think we should be including in programming, ultimately, we should get more granular about what that programming looks like.
So that programming, partnerships and relationship, well, that would be our programming, kind of like what Kat was talking to us about, right? It's not, because in that, down funding and revenue, that's our grant.
Correct,
So those are 2 very different things.
Right.
One is just us supporting our partners, and the other is us creating programs.
so,
Is that what that programming up top is?
yes,
That's what,
so do we, and that's where we get into these nuances, is this, support partner programming? And then under recreation resources, again, this is that question of capacity. Program, rec district programming initiatives that would separate them out.
when you look at partnerships, relationship building, the first 3 or 4 are all just communication.
Yes, so that again, you could easily go communications and then underneath, boom, 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 right?
But I think but programming seems like an odd man in there, I don't know.
Well, yeah, what does,
What does
my
that
question would be, what is that?
relationship building.
What
I perceive that programming as our partner programs. I think that's like, when I see that under that list, I think that's Little League and, soccer.
Oh, see, yeah, I think that's.
I perceive programming as the support of partner programs. That's when it's under that category.
So I revert back to support partner programming. And clearly communication is its own, it's its own bullet. Within that, there is what falls underneath that is community outreach in that, public relations in that category, is the, our website. Are those all sub bullets of communication? And again, what I'm trying to do is, our primary goal is to make sure we have our focus categories. And as we talk through this, we're beginning to get a sense of where do we have energy and capacity and the need to really get after tackle. So we have the maintenance ones, and then we have the ones that are initiatives.
What does volunteer support with partners mean?
That was a poorly worded, I just pulled it up, but it means to support partners.
It's like the water station at the Mad Marathon, to help, right?
Okay.
That's what that volunteers.
Volunteer support But it-
So
well,
isn't that the same thing as support partner events? I mean, don't we do that by volunteering?
So that,
That's. Yeah.
so I think the question, the nuance is, do we want to, maybe this comes off support partner events? We understand that, do we want to support partners in their search for volunteers, or is that more than we can possibly handle? If that is, will pull that off and we just leave it as support partner events.
I think we ran an event for that a number of years ago, Flat Red. It was fine, but not super well attended and didn't generate more volunteer momentum. I know that that's something that like Peter Colgan and the Rotary are launching. There's gonna be another, I think it's on September 20th.
Yeah, we talked about that. We may want us to have a table there. but
Yeah, so I think that there's people that recognize like that we wanna try to connect potential volunteers with organizations in the area. I mean, are our partners calling for it? Like, it seems like they do that in-house.
I mean, they did on some survey stuff, and some of the interviews asked
I'm gonna
for
take that off.
help getting, but I think you're right. I
I'm
think
gonna
it's.
take it out. Because I think that it is
I think-
inherent in what, with these support partner
Yeah.
events, then you're helping to find volunteers, whether it's through us directly or others.
I think setting ourselves up to have our partners reaching out to us for volunteers for their events is a heavy lift, considering the small size of this committee and. I mean, to a certain degree, but if they all decide that the rec district is where to go to get volunteers, then you're gonna be full-time just recruiting volunteers.
Well, but also support partner events could mean financially, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could mean
Yeah.
all kinds of, it could mean recruiting volunteers, it could mean volunteering ourselves, it could
Right.
mean supporting
You
them
want me to
financially.
write support partner activities and events?
I think just
I think of it.
support
Just
partner
say
events
support
is fine,
partner.
and then.
Yeah.
Now, one way to approach this,
Partners.
Support, hold it. Gina and I think just support partners, because the events is, sometimes you do it for an event, sometimes you do
that's
it in a
true.
different
Okay,
way.
and so let me do it
Money.
this way then. And make it a subcategory.
Right.
Oops. Oh, I'll get that formatted correctly. It's not right now. Sport partners, partner events, programming as a subcategory, sport partners.
And before we were talking about adding ecological integrity as an actual focus group, I think that whatever 3, 4, 5 we choose, that says where our priorities are, and if we want our priorities to be around ecological integrity, we should have one of them, because it could mean, like one bullet might be promoting people to use the online mapping tool. It could mean trying to get any organizations that are asking us for trails, we ask more about their standard of how they build trails. Could be climate resiliency stuff. It could, I just feel like if we really believe we want to promote the balance that CRB has talked about, then it should it's kind of it doesn't really fit with a lot of other things to be a standalone.
So promote awareness. Is that under that eco integrity, promote awareness?
Oh, I was, yeah, sure.
I mean, again, that's a broad category and eventually, this may not be the right time for us to do it, although.
Gotta get on with all this.
We gotta get on with all of this, get it on, is to not only prioritize, but develop some action steps to actually execute. So what do we wanna execute? What are our priorities and what are the action steps that we're gonna take? So again, this is sort of that maintenance versus initiatives. and initiatives, that whole category would be, let's set some priorities here.
Yeah, I mean, this is me speaking, not even as like, I work with a watershed organization, so it may seem biased, but it seems like we've invested so much time and energy, specifically of yours, in the CRB process, and to create a commitment with what 15 different organizations to standards and the way that we plan to operate. So if as a recreational leader, we don't actually maintain that as one of the specific like primary focuses of our organization through the way that we fund projects, through the way that we work with partners, then it like all of that shit that we're talking about with partnerships and relationship building will go out the window. Like these are the partners that we worked really hard to bring to the table to get together on a specific initiative. These are agreements that those organizations all hold. And I think we have to continue to foster that and spearhead that charge.
And I also feel like if CRB moving forward is a looser knit group than it was during the past 2 years, 3 years. And I'm hopeful that there will be momentum, but like there's no leadership, there's some things that frankly, I don't think were the best decisions. And so I don't know, so I think that if we make it a priority, it's like a backup. I think it's kind of what you're saying. We put a lot of time into it. I think it's important. And
well, it'd be prudent, for instance, if a trail group comes to us asking for funding, that we ask like how they're going to build it. Is this an area that's agreed upon by the CRB group? Like, is this a specific, like, who is the target audience? Like, we can ask a lot of questions that align with the mission and vision of CRB in order to ensure that we're upholding our end of the bargain, which is that as a funding source for some of those groups, we're filtering the types of projects that are happening here through the lens of how do we promote ecological integrity and sustainability of the trails being constructed.
So promote awareness through existing rec district grant program or current rec district programming. I mean, it's basically using the leverage of
It's like
work that we're already doing.
reinforce the grant program. Like that.
I mean, there's probably room for events. There's probably room for like continued education events that are in partnership with other partners. There's probably funding filters. There is probably continued visioning that's necessary. There are certain areas that are coming up, like Blue Ledges with Waitsfield Conservation Commission, like considering it. I think that there's a lot of areas that are continuing to become a process, like the Face and Planning Commission meeting that you and I were both at. So it's supporting municipalities as well with information about the CRB process. I think that the work there isn't done. It's just sort of now spreading that word and making sure that people uphold it.
Maybe it's two subcategories, and one is promoting awareness and the other is upholding the CRV mission.
So I'd like to think that that all the work that we do as a rec district, that we are always putting on the lens, not more than rose, but our lenses, and that lens through which we see all of our work is tied to CRB. And so, for example, if we are to pursue, let's imagine a facility, a community recreation facility, we would make it a priority in that work to highlight the work of conservation and ecological integrity. I mean, it would be out there in the language that we use that our research would not just be, well, let's just go break a piece of land and, put something up, that careful consideration, so that all the work that we do, it's the lessons that we don all the time. So are we okay with these categories? For now, clearly there's This does not constitute a strategic plan as currently rendered. Right?
It's an outline, strategic outline.
Yeah, it's just a, yeah, we're not there yet.
The only thing I might do, Alice, is take out partnerships in the first category. And just say relationship building.
Relationship building,
Yeah.
because it's,
I don't think we need partnership, because we mentioned partners as we get into the subcategory. So just abbreviate it a little bit.
so relationship building, recreation resources, eco integrity, CRV, needs assessment and planning, and funding and revenue. Do these make sense? And I want to keep the ball rolling. It's almost 8 o'clock. Again, this is an outline right now. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything on here that, is unreasonable on our real notes.
Yeah.
If it matters. Yeah.
Just know,
I was like,
yeah,
I was just saying, were we combining the community outreach public relations and communications into just communications, or
do that.
keep those separate?
What do you think? You want me to do it as,
I think communication or with.
Okay.
Like the third bullet point wouldn't have communication, just like a website and social media.
so.
Right.
Communication, and then underneath that would be community outreach,
public relations.
public relations,
How are they different?
Well, I thought we were combining them.
as part of communication.
Gotcha.
Communications is the.
But
Yeah.
community outreach and public relations are pretty, I mean, if you're asking
What
me
is
to
the
do it,
difference?
I
I think it's
don't
one
know.
the same.
Same?
It does sound the same thing, community outreach.
Yeah, okay.
I think community outreach is a better way because public relations.
Okay, and then it's
Yeah.
website and social media utilization, that can
Yeah.
be as part of that. Oops, undo that.
Well, I don't think you need utilization, because that would say to me, we're gonna try and drive traffic to our website, and I'm not so sure. We are gonna try and do that,
Okay.
maybe we should, but that's a whole nother.
So so in communication, should website and social media be a subcategory of the communication then?
Take off communication, but use website and social
And
media.
as a subcategory of communication?
Yes. Pretty soon I need that light on, it's getting dark.
It's. Yeah, I think that like
Hear people.
Do we need something in there about our relationship with towns? Or is that,
Oh, that is a
Good
good point.
point.
It's part of community outreach, but it is a good,
No, I think that
the average seems to me to go to the average citizen, not to the towns. But
okay.
maybe under community outreach, it's like to citizens, you separate two different categories under that. Whatever.
so,
that. There may be, I mean. There is inevitably like communication with the towns, like when Laura does the roadshow to go and talk to all the select boards and. I wonder if like within. I mean, even like thinking about like support partners, do we want to consider expanding partnerships? Like, for instance, are there other groups, not that we're soliciting, like not within our grant program, but like if we're doing events or thinking of CRV, you know, are there groups that we haven't partnered with historically that would be prudent
so,
for us to explore?
I'm gonna try to do two things at once here. One is to take, Peters and say engage towns, select boards.
Okay.
That as a, oops, do that.
I think it's towns and town boards or town
Townsend, I mean,
commissions, engage towns and their committees or something like that. Because there's,
Is that not community outreach?
it is, but we're trying to.
So we're trying to do
delineate it.
government. Government. Are we trying to
Well-
get to,
towns, committees and commissions. Maybe, cause like reaching out to, like partnerships with, for instance, the conservation commissions, which
Yeah.
are part of CRD. Those are volunteer boards. there's select boards, there's planning commissions, there's DRBs, like.
Rec committee.
If we start getting into like specifics of ecological integrity, then we're starting to dabble in a lot of other areas. As we saw from you and I going that planning commission or the
Yeah.
planning. meeting.
So maybe, yeah, I don't know if we wanna, if you think about other groups, do we wanna have something in here that says,
Consider additional
condition
partners or.
consider additional,
Maybe just put it on there so that when we start creating action items, if we decide that that's an important area of emphasis, then we at least have it highlighted so it doesn't slip our mind, but.
I'm just gonna write, consider your groups for right now, for lack of brain power.
Isn't that something that comes through the funding program though typically? Is there other ways that new groups or partners come in?
That's a good point.
Or if you're doing needs assessment and finding opportunity, you need to engage new partners.
That's true.
Maybe that's a
Yeah.
maybe that's where that belongs, is consider engaging new groups under needs assessment and planning. Yeah. I'm gonna have to turn that on.
Let's take a 2-minute break.
So again, I don't wanna, this is all worthwhile and it takes us time, it's not, it's, this is iterative work and hence it is incremental. I'm going to turn the light on, be prepared to be blinded. The light, there must be a way to do this so that it's.
Friday's electric.
Yeah, it's better.
And
Luke, when did you get here?
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure, Doug.
Yeah, because we also said we have to figure out how we're gonna engage our partners or have them. I feel like we don't wanna just go plunk with the strategic plan.
So I guess what my question procedurally is, what are our next steps? We have on our agenda, how are we going to involve our partners in this process? But are we ready to have that discussion? What are our next steps in moving this forward? Luke, who's steeped in doing strategic planning currently.
Wait, so what do we do next?
What are our next steps? Do we get more granular in here and then reach out? Do we reach out to some partner organizations and select boards and say, are there other focus categories or priorities that you'd like to see us include?
I think we need to get a little more granular.
Yeah.
I think we do too. I think this is so general that it's.
I would attach timelines to things like maybe like a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year goal in terms of action items. So for instance, if we were gonna take Mad River Park as like, I would say like relatively low hanging fruit, which we've discussed a lot. Possible initiatives would be restrooms. Again, and that's like where they explore new partnerships, because that's like with Yestermark, maybe they can build a restroom for us, right? Like that's someone who we haven't historically worked with, at least since I've been around, but take Mad River Park and it's like, you could do restrooms, you could do potable water and water fountains, you could do other types of structures on site, like people have requested playground facilities and workout facilities for adults and all kinds of things. We could just explore like what that looks like. And some of those would be like, this is the thing that we could go after. It seems most important to have potable water there. And then we can leverage, that movement to be able to then undertake bathrooms, like whatever we see. But I think to me, I think it's helpful to know like how soon we would be looking to move on these initiatives. And then when we start to look at the list of all the things that we would consider doing in a year, we then say, is that realistic for us to accomplish those things? How many of those we have to put on the back burner because we just can't do that much.
And I would put an immediate step, which is make a list of initiatives.
And I would think you first go through and highlight somehow the things that are just ongoing.
Right. Our
Consistently.
ends, our maintenance
Right.
ends.
Like, I think if you start listing enhancements at Mad River Park. But if it stays in there, this is your roadmap to get to your goal, so you're saying we're gonna do that. And I don't think we're there yet, so I think it's good to have something that says. Enhancements and, Mad River Park,
I wasn't suggesting that we agreed that all those things were gonna happen, I was just saying like, those are things we've discussed.
Yeah.
So like, if you're gonna create a roadmap to how you're gonna do that, then you would wanna prioritize and create a plan for which one of those things seems most feasible on each of those timeframes.
I mean, I think that our, that we have this kind of the maintenance one and the initiatives one.
you don't need that in there because it's below and needs assessment and planning.
Oh, okay.
Mad River Park, sorry.
Thank you. Yes, okay. Got it.
By the way, my opinion on these last two categories, seeking partner input and questions for partners, grantees and towns. Seems to me that this is the MRBD strategic plan. So it's ours. So we created and we don't really need input from anybody, really, I don't think.
But Peter, that would violate our relationship building principle. I think I think there's merit to saying this is our plan, but I do think that it is important to mine our different resources, our partners, our select boards. Are we missing anything? That's part of needs assessment.
Yeah, I think what I said last time when we had this conversation is more than likely they will look at it and say, great.
But are we missing something?
Yeah,
I mean,
and maybe they'll, come up with something, but unlikely.
Right, because it is our work, back to Peter's point, this is
Yeah.
ours, it's our work, they're busy with their work. But I feel like keeping it under wraps too long, that we're developing a 5-year strategic plan, is not right, we got a bunch of partners. The town's completely fund us, that's how we, so I just feel like giving them the opportunity, because they may not make any comment about a category, but they may say, you know what? We need another covered pavilion at Mad River Park, or there's just something you might get from them that's specific.
Yep.
So I kind of think the sooner we get them involved, the better.
so we can do that, if we want to do that as a, it's more than a gesture of goodwill. It's a sincere inquiry as to, are we missing anything here? And we should do that. And maybe the easiest place to do it is at this stage, while it is still in outline form. And simply get it out to, we're working on our 5-year plan, on a strategic plan. These are our focus categories, and some, sub areas of topics in each category. Are we missing anything? Is there anything, make it a broad, generalized question. Is there anything you would like to see the recreation district accomplish?
Well, yeah, I think it's like 2 parts, that's the first part, and then look at this, did we miss anything?
Yeah, keep it simple.
I think am I allowed to speak?
Yeah.
You may not vote, but you may
Key
speak.
that you go to your funding sources and get them involved in creating
Yeah.
the vision of the future. And you could, obviously the money depends on their participation, but you could go and ask them sort of to score how you've done, what their perception of who you already
That's a
are
good-
and what you're already doing, and just have some generic questions that don't pigeonhole answers, but just open and sort of hear what they're thinking.
Mhm.
Cause you can, as we're doing this with Stark Mountain Foundation, we do our strat plan. And we have key donors, we have old management teams, we have a co-op board, we've got control. Every one of them has a voice culture up there. And the goal, I think, is to ask open-ended questions to get their feedback, not have them reaffirm in the end, it's your plan, you make the plan, they're not gonna get overly involved, but, you know, they were part of the process.
Do,
By
Do
the
you-
way, to Laura's mention of what are we missing, and that's why to send it out to partners. I mean, to be real about it on an overall perspective, we're missing something here. We are definitely, you know, like, because some things are gonna come up that are not part of this initiative, my guess. Like Laura's swim program last year, or the year before, like Doug's, not Doug's, Luke's thing that we funded at Blueberry Lake. Things come up that we don't expect. So we're, you know, we are, you know, inevitably gonna miss something if that's. Yeah, a lot of it is ad hoc, no matter how much of a strategic plan you have.
the only question I would have is before because we're going to get one audience probably with each of the town select boards, especially thinking of like going to Moortown for more or less the first time. Is there enough information here for them to be able to really comment? Look, it seems to me that they would need more information about either, maybe we just list the things that we're currently doing, like, and I get that that becomes a very long document, but they could look at this and have, I don't know that there's enough information. If I'm looking at this as an outside observer and saying, what are all the things that you're doing? And we just say like, we have something that's like, we support partners, but that doesn't, there's a lot of ways that partners are supported by the organization, and to not highlight that doesn't speak to like how much you're putting into this. And it doesn't also speak to like the progress that's been made in the past 5 years. So I just wonder if it's, I get like having it be a process that we want to be as inclusive as possible. But I'm thinking if I'm on a select board and I've got 100 other things going on and I get this document, I'm like, yeah, that seems like what a recreation department would do. And I send it back. Whereas if we're like, hey, here are the things that we've been doing. Here are some ideas we have for initiatives. Do you have comments or feedback on what we're thinking about the future? That to me seems like we'll get more back from them other than just a check. And maybe we just want a check and that's okay. And we can do it if that's the case. But it is hard to get audience time with the select board.
Maybe it's just a question of staging the level of engagement so that the question open-ended, incredibly open-ended, is twofold. Are there needs, recreation needs in the valley?
Unmet.
Unmet recreation needs in the valley. And can you provide us with feedback on the work that the rec district has been doing thus far? And then would you like to be engaged in the discussions about our initiatives? It's an invitation.
Yeah, but I think if we say, how are we doing, we should have that list of what we're doing there.
I mean, if the vast majority of people in the valley don't know what we're doing and they are benefiting from programs, then do select boards have an awareness? Some people may, but my guess is that very few people know of like the minutia of like what we're up to. And it also is like a good feather in our cap, you know, especially if you look at our last strategic plan to like, and it guides our process for thinking what is like a realistic and attainable goal for the future. If we list off like 70 things that we're currently doing, and the only bandwidth that we freed up is that CRD is going to be a slightly less consuming process for you, that doesn't really bode well for us being like, yeah, let's do these 15 other big initiatives. So I think it would be helpful for us to take a look at that personally. But
The list of what we're doing currently.
yeah, because I think what Peter also said is that we're forgetting things. And until we like create a list of the thing, like what it is that we're up to, it's hard to know what else we're capable of undertaking.
So as a time frame, and not just a meeting, keeping that in mind. Creating a list of kind of the highlights of the work that we've been doing. And highlights, I don't mean it has to be the knock your socks off while we just completed the administrative work of the Borough grant, that would be it. But kind of this is the maintenance work that we're constantly doing. Here are some highlights of what, of this past year, which is what you do anyway when you do sort of the State of the Union report.
Right.
And we don't have to get into the weeds with this quite yet with them. I think it's probably inadvisable until we have gone further in terms of identifying initiatives.
Well-
Keeping it very open-ended about needs that our partners might identify that we internally have not.
Like you kind of have our best ideas on paper here.
And
It's like
that's
you
not
put that
even-
to the side and you kind of want to find out what other.
Without even tainting it.
Yeah, I think Luke's right, you'll confuse, like you go on a select board and you can present your 10 slides.
But
Your
and you're,
world is so foreign to them, it's hard to know how to get the right person to give you the feedback you want, actually.
and is your vision that I would present to the select board or just ask them
So, I mean,
in an email and follow up or
It
interview
won't
them?
happen if it's an email.
before we brought you on board, we had the strategic plan that was 5-ish years ago. And then we took that strategic plan and presented it at the Tri-Town meeting. And I was the one that got the short straw and had to go talk. But I think that what we did with, I actually think it would be helpful to look at the previous strategic plan and maybe use that as a framework. Like 5 years ago, we created this document and this is what we said we wanted to try to do. And this is everything that we did. And here's why we didn't do the handful of things we didn't do on there. And we're looking at reimagining this process and thinking about what our next steps are. I think the best feedback you would get from select boards is if you go to them and say, here's a list of like the 50 things we currently do, and here are the 5 things that we want to prioritize in the next 5 years. What do you think about that? I think you're gonna get the best feedback.
Like that.
I think you're gonna get the best feedback from that. And that allows us to do most of our work, as opposed to saying, here's our 5 categories, and we're gonna come back in
Yeah.
2 months, and we're gonna give you a possible list of action items, and,
And I have to say, like I'm feeling like we gotta get this done, but really, why? There's really not a timeline, because I have put in more than half of my time every week, probably 3/4 of my time in the last 2.5 years to CRB. So some of my time is gonna be freed up. And, so, that I'm excited because I liked my job better before we got the big grant and I did this. I'm glad, but I'm glad it's over. So, but I like what you just said about here's all the stuff we're doing, maybe categories that from our plan, last strategic plan that we didn't do, maybe why, and then this is where we're headed, what do you think,
Yeah, and where we're headed is not this.
No, not this, but
So we
it's
need,
like-
we will need to
Yeah,
identify our
right.
initiatives.
Right.
And I think so our next step is, our next meeting, I imagine, is to kind of, and where I would, reach out to you to go, let's look at our past strategic plan and let's kind of.
Yeah. I'm not at our next meeting.
I know,
Yeah,
but collate some of our top 50 of things that we have done.
yeah.
But our next meeting would be for us to identify our initiatives, give some thought to the priorities of those initiatives, and if we're ambitious enough to be able to start working on a vision statement, which would be, that accomplishing these initiatives without having to go through, here are the action steps, but accomplishing these initiatives would result in X. That's our vision for the future. And then, are you excited about that? For the select boards and our partners? Is there anything you'd like to see, any other initiatives? I think the part of, having a vision statement attached to initiatives is important for the vitality of our own engagement. That as we look at, if here are these initiatives, and if we accomplish these, this is what's going to come of it. This is the exciting part of what will result from achieving these initiatives.
I'm just still confused about like, we have a mission statement, we're gonna have a document like this, and then what does a vision statement add? Is it like a summary, it's like the executive summary of this? I just don't understand how it
So
fits in.
a mission statement is our purpose. We are established to do X, Y,
Okay.
and Z. That's our function. That's already in our agreement, in our
Yeah.
MOU. An initiative for strategic planning and looking forward with our initiatives, a vision statement is imagining all of the positive outcomes that come from achieving those initiatives.
So what would, you're not gonna email it to the select board,
I think it's
so you're
an-
gonna have to present it, you have like 3 to 7 people sitting around the table. It's not always the best forum for feedback. I just like maybe every town's different, you probably know that, I don't know. But maybe you wanna just share what we're doing, where you're at in the process, and ask them to give us a couple of names that we could interview these few questions against. I mean, in theory, we're gonna go survey the town's people. As a follow-up, I think. Just sort of, well, not to
Well,
creating a strategic plan, but as part of your strategic plan.
Yeah.
That, I forget the wording on it, putting that.
There's a needs assessment in plan, and yeah,
Which
we
is
might,
not
we
the
would
right
have.
thing, but in this moment of creating a strategic plan. Like the select board may. I don't know, I don't think in Moretown it would get very far, but if they were assigning one select board member, to have a 20-minute conversation with you, it would probably
Yeah.
go farther.
That's what I was thinking about, like offering to for me to have a meeting, an interview, whatever, with whoever they want. To talk more about this, to.
Yeah, and they would say me, but like, then that doesn't work. I wonder if, aren't we all the town representatives? So wouldn't we be, isn't that our job? It's in our, it's in here to meet with them, no? What are you?
I'm at large, man.
There's some that are associated.
What's happening?
Yeah, I mean, I almost think like maybe we dovetail it with those November meetings I do anyway.
Yeah, as a report, I mean, in your State of the Union report. I would not leave this to exclusively the select boards, because they're
Yeah.
not going to be the ones ultimately who are most engaged in issues around recreation. Be honest, I mean, it's
Right.
it's a partner or.
There are funders, but
There are funders, so we do wanna, make that overture to them, and certainly they're a viable source of information. Cause they may turn around and say, what's that gonna cost? It's gonna be a bond, and we're trying to get a garage barn. But we need to think more concertedly about how to reach out to our rec partners and get their feedback.
so obviously, if any of the public came to our meetings, they would know we're working on a strategic plan, so I feel like we're like a little hiding it. And that kind of doesn't feel good to me, because we haven't told our 15 partners, we haven't, you know what I mean, it just seems like we're now getting further down the line and at
So
some
maybe
point-
that's the open-ended question, though. And it's a very open-ended question about needs that go out to our partners. Are there unmet recreation needs? And that's it.
Didn't we just survey them
I mean,
within the last year though?
But it was 2 years ago.
It's 2 years.
I think streamlining our processes is going to be the most helpful thing. So if you're already planning, I mean, it's nearly September. And by the time you get on a docket for a select board, it might already be November anyways, and if you're already gonna be going. We are going into our grant process. And that's our best mode of communication, because they're all coming for our money, so it's gonna be way easier to get them to answer a question on a grant application that's required. Than it is to call 27 different groups we funded in the past few years.
That's an idea.
We
Yeah.
have a hard time getting any response. from
So
anyone.
I you may have free time, but I'm assuming that your like free time coming out of CRE is gonna fill up very quickly, and just like if you can kill two birds with one stone, why not do that? And that also gives us, because I don't know that we have a definitive answer of what we want to take to select boards or how we want to take that. And so before we start that process, if we can at least get on the same page as to like what it is that we hope to present, what information would be most helpful, then we have a month or two to strategize, 2 months worth of meetings to strategize. When we go in November, what does that look like, and what do we tell them, and what do we need from them? And I don't think it's hiding anything. We've had 2 meetings dedicated to strategic planning,
Which doesn't happen overnight. I mean, it is a process.
Well, look, he's been meeting, they've been a part of our meeting for almost 5 or 6 months about this.
I wasn't here, so.
So.
I did zoom in once because.
But
But
see what I'm
as a
saying,
matter
we're
of-
talking about it for
Yes.
Procedure and trying to capture people in terms of
Yeah,
feedback
now this down.
on the grant application, unmet needs.
Yeah, we're
would-
partners.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the partners, and it reminding people it doesn't have to be in your area of recreation, in anything. And then preparation, that's a good
I
idea.
like that.
On Google Forms, can't move to the next question unless you fill this one out.
You did the, so we come up with a question, you can add it. Sure. Yeah.
Sure, I can find it somewhere.
My Google Drive. Or,
So I just wanna say, because it is 8:28.
Yeah.
To summarize and make sure that we're fully in our minutes. That our next steps at our next meeting will be to, twofold. One is, correct, to look at some of our, to make a list of initiatives. And try to set some priorities around those. And then also to strategize in terms of select boards, what we want to present to them. Does that capture that accurately?
Yes.
I rely on you guys to like give, because my brain is going like this way and that way as I'm listening and trying to absorb it. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Or maybe I heard you're gonna give them the annual report anyway, and
Yeah.
you go in front of the select board anyway,
Yeah.
so
Should
maybe
be combined.
that's,
For
yeah,
November.
and
Yeah.
and we can work
or December,
ultimately
January.
to support you in, we have to do it, I mean, we're gonna have to do the budget, that has to go to them anyway. So it's usually a November meeting, is correct? December 1st is our deadline for our budget.
They push me more into December 1st, that's usually
Yeah.
after Thanksgiving.
Which is fine, because by then we're clear on our budget as well, we've met our
Right.
first budget deadline. So. Okay, are we, you get that, Corey, am I right? Did I get that?
You got it.
Okay. Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Make a
I've
motion.
got actually one more thing before we get. about-
Yeah, you're breaking up, so.
sorry. Never Peter.
Okay. Peter,
It's not MRVRD related, but it is recreation and local economy related. I need volunteers for the Green Mountain Stage Race to drive cars on Sunday morning of Labor Day weekend. So if any of you wants to do that, no race experience necessary, starting at Mount Ellen, about 3 hours of driving. Get in touch with me. Any and all hands.
state race.
Didn't we just say that we weren't gonna support volunteers?
That's what I heard. But it's just a draft.
Thanks, Peter.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn, do we have a second? I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you for the lemonade.
You're welcome. Anyone want some? On the go.